and welcome back to another episode of Your Life, Your Story, Rise Up. I'm your host, Jill O'Boyle, and I am so excited today because I have my guest and friend, Evgenia Baikova. She is a success mindset coach. She helps female entrepreneurs empower them to make powerful decisions and achieve their desired level of success. She values freedom and authenticity, and she deeply believes in the importance of aligning one's actions with their true self. Might sound like a girl you guys know, right? Sounds like me, right? Of course, I wanted to have her on the show. She brings a lot of wisdom and guidance, and we're going to dive into this topic that I really am excited about, which is mastering the success mindset, achieving your goals without self-doubt. Who doesn't want to dive into that? I do, right? That's a struggle, I think, every day. So, Evgenia, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you for having me today.
Yes, I love welcoming guests, and especially friends. For our listeners, I met Evgenia, might have been a year ago, I would say.
Yes, yeah.
So at one networking event, might have been the VIP Center, I'm not sure, but wonderful lady. So I'm excited to have you here and dive in. So let's just start there. Like, tell a little bit about your story, and of course, what makes you so unique and awesome.
Thank you, Jill. Yeah, I like this question because, well, it is obvious that I'm not local, right? I have the accent. Yes. So it's easy to recognize that, yes, I am from abroad. And actually, I was born in Uzbekistan, right in the middle of Central Asia. And this country is surrounded by places like Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, and Afghanistan, and many others. And I spent a good chunk of my childhood there. And, I remember being pretty, it's weather, it's very hot there and all the time. And like no snow at all. Like once we've been there. Yeah. And one of the coolest thing about being born in Uzbekistan was the amount of fresh fruit there. And I remember me being a little girl, observing that mountains of melons and watermelons. And since that time, I hate melons.
Oh,
because
really?
they're so sweet. I cannot. Yeah. And also, that was a really great experience for me. To see the good mixture of cultures and languages. And it seems like the life was preparing me to be flexible and resilient at the same time. So this is a kind of my background. And then we moved to Moscow and spent like the whole life there until we moved in 2018 to India.
Okay. Wow. From no snow to lots of snow.
Yes.
How was that transition for you?
That also was an interesting one, right? Because of, again, culture, people, weather, right? And I went to school. I've got my friends. I've got my master degree, which was really fun and for free. So I have master degree in management. Yeah. And then I gained all my 20 years of experience working in different industries, but I grown up as grown up in corporate world, I mean, in human resources. So I help people to be better. I help teams to be better. And I built my career in human resources, started from assistant position, and my highest position was director of human resources. And I worked for multinational companies. That means, again, languages, cultures, different people, in all the things that I really enjoy working with. And being a director, that means that I not just led teams and people, I also was involved in different type of projects, international ones, and again, different people, cultures, and all my skills, all my background was so helpful, was helping me to get the results.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love the background and where it's led you. And I mean, that's the whole point of this podcast, is to talk about your life, your story, right? It's a space that we can have guests just like you come on and share your background, your story. Like I always say, with like every part of our journey in life, whether you realize it or not, has a purpose. And there's times, reasons and seasons for things to happen. And sometimes when we're in the midst of like, where you were living at before to where you're at now, like sometimes things don't make sense. But it's only when we look back on our journey, we're like, oh, all of these have shaped where I am now or where I'm called to be in life. And then that's how we kind of, I think, start to formulate our purpose, what we're being called to. And so let's talk about that with your HR background. And now you are a success mindset coach. Talk to me about how you arrived at leaving the corporate job. Me and you both have that in common. Leaving that corporate job and then finding that maybe that background and all the things that you were doing in that workplace led you to be a coach now.
Well, this is an interesting question because it seems like that was a kind of my passion or calling. So I really liked helping people.
Yeah.
And this is like a theme which you can easily see through my life. And while I was working, I specialized on team dynamics and leadership development. And one day we were HR professionals and leaders. We were introduced to coaching. And then I realized, okay, so the work I actually did was about coaching people, was about coaching leaders and teams. But that time they equipped us with real tools, with techniques, with some frameworks. And I was so lucky to get the first course in person. Like that was a 5-day full immersive training. And I was surrounded, I don't remember, like 30, 40 people. And I saw the transformation in their thought process, how they thought before on Monday. And while they were so, open with us and they told us, okay, remember you this day on Monday. And then we will ask you on Friday, who are you now? That was like, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
So we were introduced to the most transformational coaching, collective coaching that was presented by CTI. They are located here in California. And what I like about them, that the approach is about people being naturally creative, resourceful, and whole, and there is nothing to be fixed. So actually that enhanced my ability to meet people where they are, like with no judgment, because that was so easy for us, right? To make some conclusions about people next to you. And also that was a really mind-blowing experience, I would say, because before that, you remember, right, I was in HR. That means I was so solution oriented.
Yes.
And in coaching, you are not providing any solutions. You are asking questions, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And, what I also like about this, that we are focusing not just on helping people getting things done, we are helping them to change their thought process, to improve the quality of their life. It's not just, okay, I have this goal, let's go. No. There's so many questions about, okay, so you're going to do that, but how you are going to be in that doing. So it's about being and doing. And I think that this is the magic component of coaching.
Yes. Yes. I love that. I always say it's more about who you are becoming than what you are doing. Everybody gets so fixated on I do this well and I do this. And I'm like, think about the transformation first of what's going on in your life so that you can do that next thing. Like what needs to be realigned in your life first so that you can achieve the thing that you want to do or get the job that you feel like you desire the most. Like what do you need to become in your best self, your best image?
Or even, to your point, is it about becoming or coming back to who you are? Because sometimes we find ourselves living in life that's created by others, meaning that we are living in illusion that it's based on someone else's beliefs and fears and expectations.
Oh, so good. So good. You are so right, because I believe that we are all born and naturally equipped with so many gifts and strengths and talents. But you're right, as we grow and as society shapes us
Yeah.
and we get fixated on different
Putting us into
beliefs,
the box.
get in the box. If you're not in the box, where are you? And you do, and then you start developing patterns, and all of a sudden, if you're like me, you wake up one day and you're like, who even am I? Like, I am not feeling aligned at all. I'm feeling depleted. I'm feeling exhausted all the time. I want to do these things, but yet that seems like not the normal. What's normal? If you're listening, I'm doing air quotes, right, around the word normal, because what is normal, right? Be authentically you. I can't, that's like one of my favorite topics to speak about. And so I want to go back, because you said as you realize all along your life, even in the corporate world, even in HR, you were always a coach. And I so resonate with that, because that was an aha moment for me as well. I work with clients, and I do this working genius assessment where they figure out their areas of their genius zone. And when I did it, it was just so eye-opening that I was like, oh my goodness, like my working genius is this gift of discernment. And it is, I have always said I was very intuitive. And so it just solidified and clarified why I do what I do. And I was like, that is why my office door in my corporate job.
Exactly. Yes. I was about to mention that.
Revolving door all the time. Like, honestly, when I left my corporate job, my team even said that. They said, wait a minute, who's going to be in Jill's office to get all the people's answers?
Exactly. The same. I was about to share that, that was a line of people who were waiting just to talk to me. And then they were complaining about the person who took my role.
See? Yeah. So you probably have a similar gift. It's this very a gift that I think probably some people, even myself, was like, oh, I'm just, I just give really good advice or this, but it's actually a gift that's been given to you by God, that you give sound advice. People come to you because they're like, you know what? Evgenia always gives me the best advice, or she always gives me her gut read, and it's always spot on. Like, that's an actual gift. And as coaches, like, that's kind of what we do, is we listen, like you said, right? It's not about providing solutions. We can, but we also want to listen and just ask the questions back to help them kind of figure that out on their own.
Yes, absolutely. And I like that this job is about asking questions, because sometimes, well, you can think that you can coach yourself. But are you brave enough to provide yourself with the answer? And you know what, Jill, I'd like to say it. The most difficult question is, who are you? It's so difficult to answer. And I see that in my clients.
Yep.
Oh, who I am.
Well, I'm a mom. No. Okay. A little bit deeper than that. I'm a wife. A little bit deeper than that. Who are you to the core? And I would ask the listeners right now, if you're ask that back to yourself, and what comes up for you. And if you're like Evgenia said, and I have said before, it's one of those terrifying questions. If you say, who am I? And that terrifies you, or if that gives you a pause, like, I'm not trying to pitch coaching right now, but I just want you to realize, like, that is why coaching is so fantastic. It's because we ask the hard questions, and it really once you invest in that, oh my gosh, there's so much clarity. So I want to ask you the hard question, Evgenia. Let's talk about this success mindset coach. Talk to me about how you got to there, and then what are some tips that you can give the listeners, as we talk about goals, reaching success in their life. We've mentioned it already before, like, fear comes up a lot, self-doubt comes up, resilience comes up. I'm sure even in your journey from leaving corporate to coaching, you've had the same things. So what are maybe your top 3 things that you coach your clients on that, and how to get to, even if it's not the final destination, how do they make that first step? Like, maybe somebody's listening, they're like, yep, I don't even know who I am. I'm not loving my corporate job, but I don't even know what else I would do. That was me. What else would I do besides this? What's some thoughts you have around that?
Well, top three. First of all, we are talking about identity, right? So who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's difficult for you listeners to answer the question, think about who are you not? That will ease your life a bit, right? So
That's
if you think
great.
about, it's a kind of a shortcut, yes.
Yeah.
And when it's more clear about who are you, just think about what's important, what's really important for you.
Mm-hmm.
For you, not for your mom, not for your partner, not for your kids, not for your family, just for you. And when you have a list of 3 or 5, that means you've got your values.
Yeah.
And then think about that values as if you live them. How are you living with your values? And think about the boundaries. And by the way, this is the easiest way to create your boundaries when you know your values. So when you know your values, you will not allow anyone to overstep them, right? Because when you know that, okay, this is really important to me,
Mm-hmm.
but for others, yeah, you
Big
will
thing.
do anything and everything to protect it.
Yes.
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
What else? All that fears, nagging voice, imposter syndrome, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially for us women who are wearing multiple hats. We have so many different hamster wheel, right? At
Yes.
work, at home, we are mom, we are wives, we are everything in this world,
Mm-hmm.
right? So how to shut that voice down? How to shut the doubts that you have? And we all have the doubts, and that's
Oh, yeah.
quite normal,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So I'd like
Absolutely.
to share, I'd like to share one easy peasy technique, which will actually will sometimes save you.
Yes,
So
please.
I have a journal, a doubts journal. So if
Mm-hmm.
I have a doubt, I will journal and I will say, okay, thank you, doubt, that you are here with me because you are saving me from 1, 2, 3. But
Mm-hmm.
I will go and try and will come back and will report the progress on that.
I love it.
It's the easiest and simplest thing that you can do with your doubt. Like you are
Mm-hmm.
not sharing with anybody, you're just sharing with your journal. You just need pen and paper, and
Mm-hmm.
that's it.
I love that. I
And
love
just
that.
try it.
I love that I love journaling, but thanking it.
Mhm.
Thank
That's
you.
that's the game changer.
Thank you, doubt. Thank you
Mhm.
for showing up today, right? Because what you're doing is you're basically calling out the fear that
Mhm.
that's presenting in your mind, right? Which usually I always say when fear is the loudest, it's actually probably moving you in the direction you should go. So I love that. Thank you, doubt, for showing up today. And although I see you or hear you, I'm going to try it anyway. And I'll report back on that.
Mhm.
So good.
Yeah, it's
I
like
love
you
that.
had a conversation. You are not trying to avoid something. You are not
Mhm.
trying to shut it down. You are not trying to, I don't know, just ignore that.
Right.
You
Yeah.
just had a conversation and you went out of that conversation being committed.
Yeah. Really
That's
good.
perfect.
Because most people do. What happens is doubt comes up, fear comes up, and the immediate response is shut it down. Yep.
Mhm.
Bad idea. Terrible. Oh my gosh. What was I thinking? That's
Mhm.
ridiculous. End of story. Where this is allowing you that space. And that just supports my advocate. I will preach it over and over and over about a morning routine, because what you're doing in that morning routine is creating intentional time to kind of hear yourself, give you time to journal, think about maybe what happened yesterday, what presented itself, like
Mhm.
getting those ideas down on paper is honestly, it's a game changer. So
Yeah. And another thing, and I believe that you know that when you have I don't know, a thought that kind of a small thinking, or again, this is a kind of a doubt that's coming to your mind, just think, is it the fact or this is just the thought?
is this the fact or is it a thought?
Mhm.
That's good. That's good. So I love those. So I'm going to recap that. So, especially around identity and who you are, we said maybe a question to say is, who are you not? I love that. Spin it around. Who are you not? And then the values that you talked about. I love that. That was a game changer in my life, was what are my values in life, and how am I living those? So Evgenia said, think about what matters most in your life. And I think that's great, because honestly, when I took a hard look at the values of my life, I wasn't living anywhere by those values. And because of that, guess what? I was depleted, exhausted, lost, lonely, broken. And when I started making simple shifts, it doesn't happen overnight, but trying to get back into, these are my top 3 values. And if these are the top 3 values of my life, then you're right. What boundaries do I need to place around that? What do I need to be saying no to more often than I'm saying yes to, all those things. So good. And then approach your fears and doubts. Talk to them, thank them for coming up. Those are great.
Yeah. And I'm a big fan of this approach. Just be friends with your doubts, or just acknowledge them and don't be angry. And also the same with imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Make it your friend. That will be easier than just to be in war with that.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, because that fight can be, I don't know, overwhelming and exhausting.
Yeah. So I want to give a few examples for people maybe listening. I have one, and then maybe you can share another one. Like a doubt that came up for me just this past week was, I was creating a new program and I was putting it together, and the doubt said, no one will buy this. You're wasting your time. Okay. So that's the doubt that came up. Why nobody will buy this? You're wasting your time, right? And so for a second, guess what I did? I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm not even doing this. And so what did I go do? Probably grab my phone, start scrolling, wasting my time, because I heard that what I was doing was wasting my time. So those are the things that can creep up. Now, I reevaluated that. Like Evgenia said, I didn't really journal, but I usually, when I find myself getting a little anxious and stuff, my journaling is usually my morning routine, but this is in the middle of the day. So I felt myself getting anxious. I felt myself getting depleted again. I felt myself getting all the imposter syndrome. And so I left it, and then took a little walk, and then have more clarity, right? Every time I can get outside and have sunshine, I hear more thoughts. But I in that moment, I will, next time I'm going to do that. Thank you, Dow. I'm going to bring that more up. But that's like an example of something that is totally a lie. That is not the truth. People are going to love this. Actually, it's a quick, simple 60 minutes. You can find your genius zone. You can do a coaching session with me, and you're going to have so much clarity in 1 hour. It's not a waste of time at all. But that's what our minds will do, and it'll stop us from doing the next best thing. Anything that you've had recently in your past week or so that you can think of?
Well, similar to you, but I also would like to provide a different example, and probably you've experienced that too. Like, I'm too old for something, or I am not that experienced that the way they have expectations of me, right? Or sometimes we think, well, I need to get more certificates in that so that they can, I don't know, buy that service from me.
Yeah.
Right. So many different things, like in similar to yours. What if they won't buy? What if my offer is too broad? Something like all the doubts about what you do, your services, your products, about your expertise.
Yeah.
Who I am to offer that, right? Why me?
Right.
Because you are unique. You have your own background, you have your strengths. And by the way, I'm Gallup certified strengths finder coach too. And I use that tool for more than 7 years. Now I'm certified. And, it's easier to talk to people and use this strengths-based approach than rather than fixing something which they have gap into. Like,
Oh yeah.
mhm,
Yeah.
it's more
No,
positive,
Gallup's great.
it's more empowering. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's really good. So if you are, maybe you're listening and you're in the corporate world, and the doubt that's been crossing your mind is maybe you're a manager and you are been really wanting to take the next step to senior management or leadership, and the doubt says you're just still not qualified, right? Or you don't have the certifications, or you don't have X, Y, and Z, or nobody here likes you, so you will know, whatever it is, right? Our mind will tell us anything. Ask yourself, do what she said, Evgenia said, write it down and really, really take a hard look at that, because honestly, you are the only person that is mostly standing in your way. And if you don't ask, if you don't overcome those fears, you will stay right where you are. And if so, that's not where you want to be, then overcome those doubts and overcome those fears, right? Maybe you are a stay-at-home mom and you're listening and you've been wanting to ask your husband about something. Maybe you want to buy something. Maybe you want to go on this fabulous trip, and the doubt says, oh my gosh, girl, he works all the time. He don't have time for you. You're not going to go on this family vacation, whatever it is, right? There's so many times like we have these combos in our head. And if you would just talk to your husband about it, he might be like, that's a great idea. We haven't taken time away for us in a long time. Let's go on a date night. Like, have you asked for a date night? Do it. Just push those fears away. So good. Great information. So do you feel being a success mindset coach? I love talking about purpose. If you look back now at all your years that you were in corporate, of course it led you to right where you are. Do you feel this is your purpose?
That's a great question. Because, recently I was asked about whether I dreamt about like any occupation when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Well, no. But,
Okay.
when I joined the corporate world and I met all that people, I knew that time that, well, I can help them. And you just mentioned that the door to my office was like open door. It's not,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't just a policy. It was the fact,
Yeah.
and people liked it, right? So I knew that time that this is the purpose. And now I know that this is a calling. That was a calling that time. That's why
Yeah.
coaching, that's why, consulting in all the things. That's
Yeah.
why HR. That's why all the things that happen in my life.
Yep.
I cannot stop myself from helping others grow because it seems like the results of those people with whom I worked, and they still reaching out to me, like my former colleagues from my different companies, it's like fuel.
Oh
It's the
yeah.
pure energy,
Yeah.
right? That's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yes. Yeah. You have the heart to help people just like I do. And it's such a joy when you
Mhm.
step into that and you realize,
Yeah.
you know what, I've been doing this my whole life and I didn't realize like this is actually a gift and my calling. And
Hmm.
I love that. I love that. All right. So tell me something that you know now that you wish maybe your younger self would know, or somebody listening right now that might be 10 years behind you. What piece of advice would be great for them to know and help them rise up?
It's just like I mentioned before. So if someone told me that fighting with yourself is just wasting your time, that will be really helpful. Now I
Mhm.
know that I can teach people how to get the imposter syndrome as a friend, how to deal with doubts, not just ignoring them or fighting with them. This
Yeah.
is just wasting time, and this is it's not productive.
Mm-hmm.
You're just losing the momentum, you're losing your energy, you're losing focus, and well, it seems like your dreams, they are vanishing
Yeah.
because you are still fighting with yourself. But how to accept and embrace who you are, and how to understand how to get that self-awareness, how to understand your greatness and use it.
Yes.
to bridge the gaps that you probably have. This
Mhm.
is the magic to me.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that. You got to get out of your own way, and today's a gift. So why not make it an amazing gift and start stepping into the life that is designed for you, because you're the only one that can
Yeah.
really create it. Unfortunately, I hate to say that, but it's not like anybody's coming for you. Like, you've got to make
Mhm.
the intentional mindset. If you are not happy with where you are today, well, guess what? You can change it. You
Yeah.
can
And
change
also,
it.
another thing is that I wish I had my coach earlier, like probably 10 years ago, because,
Yeah.
well, this is the life-changing experience. Because you are not just boiling in your own pot, right?
Yeah,
You have someone to talk to, and there's not your mom. You can be safe, you can share everything, and no one will judge you.
that's right.
No one will give you advice unless you are asking for,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just the place where you can be, where you can be challenged by someone
Mhm.
else.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Mhm.
all need somebody that is outside of our circle, outside of our
Mhm.
family, outside of our friends, that can just shine a light on our life that we're sharing with
Mhm.
them, and show us our blind spots, because
Yeah.
we don't know, we're just going through life, and we're going through
Mhm.
life a lot of times similar to our own family and friends and the closest 5 people that are
Like
around you.
scenario. Mhm.
So if you're asking them for advice, you're going to probably get the same kind of theory. But if you find somebody a little bit outside your circle, but still align with your values and your goals and where you want to grow,
Mhm.
that's a game changer. That was a
Yeah,
game changer.
especially that the person can just force you to stop
Yeah.
and reflect on what's going on, right? Or ask you about a question about, okay, so you were telling me the story. What is your story about?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is the most powerful question I have heard, right? Because you have to bottom line your story that
Yeah.
you are telling yourself about yourself.
Yep. Yeah.
Mhm.
And if you don't point it out, sometimes people don't know. They don't realize that's a who's the guy? He calls it soundtracks. Just soundtrack keep playing on in your head
Mhm.
until somebody
Mhm.
calls it out and you're like, "Oh my
Yep.
gosh, I haven't realized that has been like on repeat in my head.
Uh-huh.
That's why I do the things I do."
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I love to learn. I love to grow. And so this is a selfish ask, but it's for everybody else listening too. I always want to know what other people are listening to, reading, watching. So, what's one thing that you're just loving right now? Either a
Um,
podcast, a book?
I'm glad that you're asking this question. You know, I am so impressed by the book, which were this is Will Smith books
Ooh,
about himself.
okay.
Will, yeah,
Yeah.
and this is not just a self biography. He is describing a journey of his transformation, and well, what I like about that is he reveals his perspective on love,
Mhm.
fatherhood, spirituality, family, connections, networking, friends, everything. And it is about hard working too. But he is sharing in such a interesting way. So we are listening. So this is audiobook, and I'm just like, what's next? What's next? I'm so curious to learn more from him. And you know what? Sometimes I recognize myself in his experiences, and I was like,
Okay.
okay, that's fun.
That's great. So it's by Will Smith, but what's the title of it?
Will.
Will. Okay.
Yeah,
Easy
just
enough.
will. Yeah, just will. It's like, probably one day you will publish the book about yourself and name it Jill.
Jill, the book of
Just
Jill.
Jill. Jill.
Oh boy.
Why
Can't wait.
not?
I can't wait for the listeners to read that book. Woo! There's a lot there.
Yeah, so yes.
Well, that's
You have
good. I'm going on vacation next weekend, so I'm going to add that to my Audible and have some Will Smith time on the beach. Love it.
Mhm, mhm.
All right. So what's happening in your world? Is there some things that you want to share with our listeners that you're promoting? And then also I want to have you share where they can learn more about you, follow, or get in touch with you as well.
Yeah, so I will be a guest speaker at Maven Space on August 41st, and I will be talking not about the mindset, but I will be talking about how to manage emotions, but the topic will be linked to mindset.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So that's at the Maven Space downtown in
Yeah,
Indianapolis. Do you know
yeah.
if that's going to be virtual too?
Oh,
Or is
I
it
don't
just an
know. But
in-person event?
well, I don't know, frankly
Okay.
speaking, not sure. Okay.
I might have to
So
make that thing.
this is the first thing. Another thing that I just launched my Facebook group, Mindset Mastery for Female Founders.
Ooh.
So this is just a safe space where we can discuss what's going on in our life. We're exchanging our wins and failures, and I'm talking to members about some tips and tricks about the mindset. And of course, I will be providing some live trainings too.
Yeah.
So
Love
you
that.
can do that. And another thing which is really exciting news, I am launching a new and unique game. So
Ooh.
it's a transformational game. And for example, if you're not committed to 6 months of coaching, you can just play one game, which is about 2 hours, and you will learn how to um, fulfill your big dream, desire, goal.
Oh, I love
So,
this.
and this is, the fun thing is that the game itself, it's similar to Monopoly. It has a board, it has tokens, cards, and nowadays I'm playing that virtually, but well, I hope to be offline too, so that
Yeah.
there's a magic of having the board on the table and all the cards.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not just a simple game. Some powerful psychological techniques are there together with mathematicians too, like mathematics.
Yeah.
It's also included there. And what I like about the game is also that it's a kind of, transformational training that could last for 2 or 3 days, but you are getting all the insights in two
Mm-hmm.
hours if you are
Yeah.
playing alone. So there are
Yeah.
two formats, individual for one person and groups are starting from two people. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm
So
launching that.
so this is a launch that you're doing. It's a game that they would be doing with you,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
like I'm a master of a game. It's like in Monopoly, you have a banker. So I
Yeah.
will be kind of a banker in that game.
Oh, that's a cool. I love this idea. Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And then so I'll include so do you have like a special link where they can sign up for that?
It's
Or
coming.
not yet? Not yet.
It's
Okay.
coming. So
Well,
you're just the
I'll
first ones
include the
who are,
Facebook
yeah.
group.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
And you can easily find me on Facebook, but just make sure that you're typing double I in my first name. Otherwise, you will get to my personal profile.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming on. This was fun. I know we've talked about it, doing it for a long time. So I'm glad we made
Thank you,
the day
Jill.
and made it
Yes,
happen.
absolutely.
So,
Finally. Yeah, I
yay.
really enjoyed our conversation too.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.